Alrighty. Good morning, everybody. Hope you're doing well. It's been a while. It's been, I don't know, maybe a week. So my wife got strep throat on Friday. She didn't know it. We didn't know that she had it until yesterday. Anyways, it's been a fun couple days. Work has been absolutely crazy, so I haven't been able to get away. But today is a new day, so I'm going to check to make sure that this is always working, baby. But yeah, I hope you're doing well. I hope your week is going well. Today is Tuesday, August 18th. Yeah, I had a nice run this morning. It's hot, crazy hot. Yesterday, I went for a run and I lost over 3 pounds in sweat. And I ran a little bit under an hour. So it wasn't even out that long. And yeah, it was fun. Anyways, today we're going to be reading Luke chapter 22. So this is when it starts to get heavier because this is when we're reading about Jesus being betrayed, him going to the cross. This is, the crux of the gospel. And Jesus has been, at this point, fully determined to go to Jerusalem. He's in Jerusalem. He's teaching and healing and preaching, and he's doing things, and he's confronting different people. He's confronting the Pharisees. He's doing all this stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna do that. See what's up. Good morning. But yeah, so we're going to read here Luke chapter 22. So Judas agrees to betray Jesus. It says, "Now the festival of the unleavened bread called the Passover was approaching, and the chief priests and the teachers of the law were looking for some way to get rid of Jesus, for they were afraid of the people. Then Satan entered Judas, called Iscariot, one of the 12. And Judas went to the chief priests and the officers of the temple guard and discussed with them how he might betray Jesus. They were delighted and agreed to give him money. He consented and watched for an opportunity to hand Jesus over to them when no crowd was present." Now this is crazy here, right? So Satan entered Judas, and Judas agrees for some money. It turns out to be 30 pieces of silver, but he's like, "Hey, I'll give you Jesus." Man, this is so crazy. Imagine, this is 3 years of ministry at this point. Imagine one of your guys that you've been spending with 3 years, going from town to town. You've, probably bled with this guy, sweat with this guy, done crazy encounters with this guy, and he's like, "Hey, I can tell you when Jesus is alone, so you can come and get him." And they were thrilled. Obviously, they were thrilled because they wanted to get rid of Jesus. Verse 7. We're in chapter 22. Welcome. Say hey. Would love to hear you in the chat. It says, "Then came the day of unleavened bread on which the Passover lamb had to be sacrificed. Jesus sent Peter and John, saying, 'Go and make preparations for us to eat the Passover.'" Now, just some Jewish customs, they did the Passover meal every year. It was done in a certain way and eaten in a certain order as instructed in the Old Testament. So this was a custom that every Jew did. Verse 9, "Where do you want us to prepare for it?" they asked. He replied, "As you enter the city, a man carrying a jar of water will meet you. Follow him to the house that he enters, and say to the owner of the house, 'The teacher asks, where is the guest room where I may eat the Passover with my disciples?' He will show you a large room upstairs, all furnished. Make preparations there." Dude, this is This is the second time that this has happened. Jesus sent them to go get the donkey, and he's like, "Hey, just go in there. You'll find a donkey, and if they ask, 'What are you doing with the donkey?' say, the Lord needs it." But here's another situation. It's like, "Hey, just go find this dude. He's gonna be carrying this jug of water." This is just crazy. Verse 13, they left and found things just as Jesus told them, so they prepared the Passover. When the hour came, Jesus and his apostles reclined at the table, and he said to them, "I have eagerly desired to eat this Passover with you before I suffer. For I tell you, I will not eat it again until it finds fulfillment in the kingdom of God." Verse 17, after taking the cup, he gave thanks and said, "Take this and divide it among you. For I tell you, I will not drink again from the fruit of the vine until the kingdom of God comes." Verse 19, and he took bread, gave thanks, and broke it, and gave it to them, saying, "This is my body given to you. Do this in remembrance of me." Now, obviously, this is Jesus establishing communion, where as Christians, as disciples of Jesus, we are to take the bread and the juice or the wine, and to remember Jesus, remember his sacrifice, remember what he did, remember who he is, remember how he rescued us. But yeah, in the verse 20, in the same way, after the supper, he took the cup, saying, "This cup is the new covenant of my blood, which is poured out for you." But the hand of him who is going to betray me is with mine on the table. The Son of Man will go as it has been decreed. But woe to the man who betrays him. They began to question among themselves which of them it might be who would do this. A dispute also arose among them as which of them was considered to be greatest. I mean, typical fashion, right? Jesus said to them, "The kings of the Gentiles lord it over them, and those who exercise authority over them call themselves benefactors. But you are not to be like that. Instead, the greatest among you should be like the youngest, and the one who rules like the one who serves." Verse 27, For who is greater, the one who is at the table or the one who serves? Is it not the one who is at the table? But I am among you as the one who serves. You are those who have stood by me in my trials, and I confer on you a kingdom, just as my Father conferred one on me, so that you may eat and drink at my table in my kingdom and sit on my thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. This is so Jesus is letting them know, he's giving them the glance into the future. Like, guys, one day when we go to heaven, he's like, you're going to be sitting on thrones and you're going to judge the 12 tribes of Israel. That's pretty crazy. Imagine you're sitting there as one of the disciples and you hear this. That's a pretty big thing. Verse 31, Simon, Simon, Satan has asked to sift you as wheat, but I have prayed for you, Simon, that your faith may not fail, and when you have turned back, strengthen your brothers. But he replied, Lord, I am ready to go with you to prison and to death. Jesus answered, I tell you, Peter, before the rooster crows, you will deny me 3 times that you know me. Then Jesus asked him, when I sent you without purse, bag, or sandal, did you lack anything? Nothing, they answered. He said to them, but now if you have a purse, take it, and also a bag, and if you don't have a sword, sell your cloak and buy one. It is written, and he was numbered with the transgressions. And I tell you that this must be fulfilled in me. Yes, what is written about me is reaching its fulfillment. The disciples said, see, Lord, here are 2 swords. That's enough, he replied. All right, verse 39. Jesus prays on the Mount of Olives. Jesus went out as usual to the Mount of Olives, and his disciples followed him. On reaching the place, he said to them, Pray that you will not fall into temptation. He withdrew about a stone's throw beyond them, knelt down and prayed, Father, if you are willing, take this cup from me, yet not my will, but yours be done. An angel from heaven appeared to him and strengthened him, and being in anguish, he prayed more earnestly, and his sweat was like drops of blood falling to the ground. When he rose from the prayer, he went back to the disciples. He found them asleep, exhausted from sorrow. "Why are you sleeping?" he asked them. "Get up and pray so that you will not fall into temptation." Jesus here, he knows what's happening, and he's begging God to take it away from him. He's like, I don't want this cup. And I believe that this cup references the cup of wrath, right? So Jesus knows that he is about to take on the punishment that all of us deserve. He's going to take on the sin that I deserve and the punishment that I deserve. He's going to receive the full wrath of God. And that's a terrifying thing. And so he's like, God, please take this cup from me, but not as your will, not as I will, but as your will. And so this is where he's going on, and the disciples are sleeping. And he's like, guys, you got to stay awake. Please pray for me. You don't understand what's about to happen. Verse 47, while he was still speaking, a crowd came up, and the man who was called Judas, one of the 12, was leading them. He approached Jesus to kiss him, but Jesus asked him, Judas, are you betraying the Son of Man with a kiss? Yikes, man. Yikes. Whew, that's heavy. Verse 49, when Jesus' followers saw what was going to happen, they said, Lord, should we strike with our sword? Because Jesus said, sell your cloak and buy a sword. Verse 50, and one of them struck the servants of the high priest, cutting off his ear. But Jesus answered, no more of this. And he touched the man's ear and healed him. Then Jesus said to the chief priests and the officers of the temple guard and the elders who had come for him, am I leading a rebellion that you have come with sword and clubs? Every day I was with you in the temple courts, and you did not lay a hand on me. But this is your hour when darkness reigns. Now, Jesus, this is very interesting because Jesus told in the Last Supper, he's like, guys, go buy some swords. And like, we have 2 swords. And he's like, that's enough. And then here he is also saying, like, stop. We're not going to fight. We're not going to do this. We're not going to use these swords. And in other accounts, in Matthew, he says, if you live by the sword, you will die by the sword. But Jesus stops it, and he's like, guys, this is the hour. I'm going to be betrayed. Like, what is going on? Why are you coming to me with swords and clubs? Am I leading a rebellion? No, clearly not. But the hour of darkness has come. Verse 54, this is where Peter disowns Jesus. Then seizing him, talking about Jesus, they led him away and took him into the house of the high priest. Peter followed in a distance. And now remember, Peter at the Last Supper, he was like, hey, I'm going to go to prison with you. I'm willing to die with you. So Peter is following. He's like, hey, I'm going to make sure that I keep eyes on Jesus because, hey, I'm going. I'm that dude. I'm ready. And Peter is the one who struck the dude's ear, struck the guy and cut off his ear. I think he was obviously trying to kill him, going for the head. So Peter's following. Verse 55. And when some there had kindled a fire in the middle of the courtyard and had sat down together, Peter sat down with them. A servant girl saw him seated there with the firelight. She looked closely at him and said, this man was with him. Now, that terrified Peter because verse 57, but he denied it. Woman, I don't know him, he said. Verse 58, a little later, someone else saw him and said, you also are one of them. Man, I am not, Peter replied. About an hour later, another asserted, certainly this fellow was with him, for he is a Galilean. So we have multiple hours of Peter denying Jesus. He's still following, he's still observing, but 3 different occasions over a span of a couple hours, Peter is called out and he continues to deny. Man, that's tough. Peter replied, man, I don't know what you're talking about. Just as he was speaking, the rooster crowed. The Lord turned and looked straight at Peter. Then Peter remembered the words the Lord had spoken to him. Before the rooster crows today, you will disown me 3 times. And he went outside and wept bitterly. Obviously, Peter was never the same after this. Peter never denied Jesus. Peter ended up dying for Jesus. But this was a monumental moment in Peter's life. The guards mocked Jesus. The men who were guarding Jesus began mocking and beating him. They blindfolded him and demanded, "Prophesy, who hit you?" And they said many other insulting things to him. So this is disgusting because, Jesus is claiming to be the Messiah. They saw him heal. They saw him, they heard him preaching. They heard him doing all these incredible things. So they blindfold him and they start punching him. And they're like, "Prophesy, which one of us hit you? Who was it?" Absolutely disgusting. Verse 66. At daybreak, the council of the elders of the people, both the chief priests and the teachers of the law, met together, and Jesus was led before them. "If you are the Messiah," they said, "tell us." Jesus answered, "If I tell you, you will not believe me. And if I ask you, you would not answer. For from now on, the Son of Man will be seated at the right hand of the mighty God." They all replied, "Are you then the Son of God?" He replied, "You say that I am." Then they said, "Why do we need any more testimony? We have heard it from his own lips." Jesus is he's the boss. He's the absolute man. And I don't know how I would be doing if I was mocked and ridiculed and beaten and, they blindfold me and say, "Prophesy who hit you," and I know exactly who hit me. I don't know how I would be doing, but Jesus is just resolute. He is just standing before them. He's like, "Even if I answer, you're not going to believe me because I've been saying it all along," right? He's like, it's very well known who I am. It's very clear. It's very obvious. So even if I answer it, you're not going to believe me." But he's like, "I'll tell you." So they're like, "Are you the Son of God?" He says, "You say that I am." He's like, "I'm just going to, yep, you got it. I'm the Son of Man." And by his own lips, by his own testimony, is what led him to being handed over and being crucified. You see, Jesus was resolute. He's like, "This is going to happen. This is what was prophesied. The Son of Man will be betrayed. He will suffer these things." And he does it. He says it with his own lips. So that's where we're going to stop. I got to get to work. But it does get a lot heavier after this. Anyway.